What if the secret to success wasn't just talent or hard work, but unshakable confidence? Welcome to Grasp Confidence, the podcast where visionary thought leaders, speakers, and entrepreneurs unlock the mindset and strategies for lasting success. I'm your host, Tara LaFon Gooch, CEO, two-time best-selling author, and international TEDx speaker, and I can't wait to help you step into the most powerful version of yourself. Let's dive in. Today on Grasp Confidence Podcast, I'm honored to welcome my friend and colleague, Dr. Gina Anderson, and she is a two-time Inc. 5,000 award-winning founder and CEO of Luma Brighter Learning. She's a learning scientist, a powerhouse entrepreneur who is changing lives through the science of learning. She's also a two-time #1 Amazon best-selling author, sought-after keynote speaker, motivational podcaster, and she's on a mission to unlock human potential and save lives through innovative education. With decades of experience and a heart for impact, Gina brings a rare blend of science, strategy, and soul to today's conversation. Get ready to discover how learning and confidence are deeply connected and how to lead with both your head and your heart. Gina, welcome to the show.
Wow, that was an incredible introduction. Thank you so much. I am so honored to be with you here today. You are so beautiful inside and out. I cannot wait for this impactful conversation to help anyone that needs to hear it today.
Wow, I can't wait to see where this goes because you bring such a just a deep level of understanding to learning. And, it's a topic that we think about when we're in school.
Yeah.
After school, we don't really necessarily talk about it or think about it, but it's something that we do every day and it really impacts our lives. So I would love to, just kind of I gave you the highlight reel a little bit, but give the audience a little bit more background about what you do, especially with Luma Learning.
Yeah, so I actually started my career as a special education teacher. So I love to mention that because I had this keen interest in why is it that some people can do certain things like as easy as tying your shoe. And other people struggle with that. I worked with an individual with special needs who literally could not tie their shoe. And I always wondered, what is it about his brain that's different from my brain that kind of allows that? And so I actually was a teacher for several years, and I decided that I wanted to make a greater impact to really understand our brains and how we learn. So I went back and you said to school, so education and learned, and I continue to learn because of science in the past 10 years, you never stop learning of really the influences that are in our lives, everything around us to really make an impact. I started our company in 2008. We're a learning company. And in 2014, I actually had the opportunity to go into a fleet and observe through a dispatch center how truck drivers were being trained. And I'm sure it's like this at a lot of organizations. Adult learning is very passive. The drivers were sitting in a classroom for 3 or 4 days, listening, just passively listening to somebody speaking. And some of them were asleep, but some of them were on their phone, but we knew that their mind was not attentive in the moment. And then Tara, they were given keys to 80,000-pound vehicles. And if you think about that and you're on the road with your daughter, we're driving and you want to make sure that everybody on the road, not just truck drivers, are safe. And so for me, I was keenly interested, and this is an industry that I really want to help. And it kind of is expanded beyond the drivers. We help entire organizations with their learning initiatives and really learning. And you talked about this education. There's a difference between education, learning, learning science, like I said, content providers, and training. And people don't think about that, but really learning is the science behind all of those things. And so that's really what I want to bring. And not only that, but moving behaviors forward. So when someone makes a commitment to change a behavior and they're ready to change, but they don't change, how do we move them forward so that we can save not only their life, but the lives of people around them? And so that's what I'm really passionate and that's what I do every day. And I love doing it.
I know you do. I can see the passion and the purpose, right? This is something I've never thought of, and I think I'm not alone in this, right? That we get on the road all the time, and we think nothing of it. And
Mhm.
I always tell my daughter, she says, "Why do you drive so slow?" I say I drive carefully, right?
Yes.
Because I know what I'm doing, but I'm not in control about what everybody else is doing on the road. And that's what really, gives me pause. But
Mhm.
especially truck drivers who are on the road all the time. And, we don't give it a lot of thought, do we? It's
No.
on the
Mm-mm.
highway, but my gosh, how important is safety in that industry?
Absolutely, and when you think about it, you don't when you're in your car and gosh forbid anyone that's listening looks at their phone, but you don't realize how much time your eyes and your mind is taken off of the actual road and what you're doing in the moment.
Yeah.
And within that short time, you could change your life forever. There was an incident several years ago where a driver actually crashed into another driver and killed him. And when they went back and looked, his eyes were actually on his phone, and for 8 seconds. That's a long time. That's a long time. And I challenge people, where is your mind in the moment when you actually are doing something, whether it's driving, whether it's talking to your spouse at dinner, whether it's being engaged with your child, whether it's being in the moment with the person right in front of you. Where is your mind? Because you have control over every moment of where your mind goes. Within a half to a fourth of a second, learning scientists study the neural activity of attention, and your mind starts to wander very quickly. Within not even a minute, you may have a trillion different thoughts. And so it's really important to really be keenly aware,
Yeah.
especially when you're driving, because there's safety on the line of where your mind is. I have this bracelet, I wear it. I've made the commitment not to have my phone near me. My phone is always dinging and ringing, as you can imagine. It's a visible reminder to me why I don't text and drive and look at my phone in the car. I've made a commitment to do that. And when you ask people why they do it and why they look at their phone, and this is just one example, but I mean there's a variety of reasons why people do it, but they don't think about that it may happen to them, that they may be in an incident or lose somebody that they love in an incident because of distracted driving. So I'm very passionate about that as well. And the science behind why it matters. Mhm.
Wow. So powerful, right? And, I've made a commitment to myself as well. So if I have my phone, uh, and I need it for the maps, let's say, and it's plugged in, I will put it, it's plugged in, but I put it on the floorboard of the passenger seat so I can't touch it,
Oh, yes.
right?
Yeah,
So it's out
putting
of
it out
reach,
of way, right.
right? You got to get it out of reach, out of way. That way you can still utilize it for your maps or whatever, but you can't physically touch it. Or if I don't need it for my maps, I put it in the back seat.
Yeah,
Get
absolutely.
it out of here because we don't need that distraction, right? But what you said is so powerful too. Our minds can drift and wander and be distracted very quickly, and it
Mhm.
could ultimately cost a life. And then you're talking about this gentleman who was a truck driver and his, attention was gone for 8 seconds looking at his phone.
Yeah.
And what was the impact? It cost a life. And that's something that he'll never forget.
Absolutely. There's
Mhm.
consequences, it's one of those things. Yeah, he went to jail, but at the end of the day, he has to live with that. You have to live with every decision you make, and where your mind is. And I think about it, not only from a safety standpoint, but you and I have talked a lot about the fact that we're in this time where people are feeling disconnected. We're feeling, removed from, our environments and each other. And that's all in our control. We have the power to be connected with people in the moment. Let me give you an example. I actually got back last week from Tampa. I I had a really tough weekend. I actually had to take my mom. We had our memorial service and we took her to see. And I found a letter from her on Easter that she wrote to me that she wanted me and my brother to find when she passed away. It was a very powerful letter. It actually left me in complete I should have been grateful for the letter. But it left me I was in despair. I was very sad. I didn't think that I'd be able to go to Tampa to speak. I had a choice in that moment. I could have stayed at home and been removed and disconnected and sad. And I decided to show up and go to Tampa. And let me tell you the power in that decision, in that moment to be connected with other people. I got up the first morning, I took a client to coffee, and I looked the gentleman in the eye who served me the coffee, and I told him I was so grateful, and I truly was, and he doesn't know what I had been through in the last 3 days, but I was so grateful that he was there in that moment, and him and I connected. He had never had anyone tell him that appreciated him to be there. And gratitude can really help, not only make you feel better, but other people. He was so grateful, and I actually have it. I think I have it right here. He gave me a glass eye, and he gave it to me, and he told me that he said, I'm going to show you. He said that I was an angel. He gave it to me 2 days later because I was there for several days, and that I really made a difference for him. And this is from his culture,
Mhm.
and he really appreciated me being there, and this is about learning and learning science because being connected in the moment with someone, no matter what you're going through in your life, and everyone deals with hurdles and past hurdles, can help you move forward, and I think that is just a powerful testament to the beauty and power of our minds.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're hitting on all of my notes because, gratitude is my jam, right?
Yes.
It's so powerful. And, people ask me all the time, why gratitude? Why is that a part of building confidence and becoming a better version of yourself? And, it's the powerful thing about it is, we know there's science behind it. It's not just floof, right? There's
Mhm.
actual hard science behind it. But the favorite part about it for me is that it rewires your brain. And we know that if we can rewire our brains, we can form new belief systems. And
Mhm.
what's really interesting, I thought about this because I'm speaking at a conference next month. And, I'm trying to think of a really good analogy to break down this like super complex concept into something that's more tangible. And I thought of, what? It's like walking on a trail,
Mm.
right? For the same as your mind, just like walking on a trail. When
Mhm.
you walk on a well-worn trail, your brain says, "We've been here before. We get this. We know where we're going." But at first, it's not a well-worn trail. It has to be paved, doesn't it?
Mhm.
So when we go through a new path of learning, it's like we're walking on a new trail, but we keep walking down that trail of gratitude. And then all of a sudden, our brain says, "Oh, this is familiar territory. I know where I'm going." The cool thing about it is that almost, I'm not going to say anything that happens to me, but pretty much anything bad that would happen to me now, I look at it and find the gratitude immediately because my brain knows where that trail of gratitude is
Mm.
and it instantly picks it up. And I find the gratitude in almost any situation. I call it my ninja mindset move.
Oh, I love the ninja mindset move. But let me tell you scientifically, like that really is true from the neural pathways. So the idea of synapses and the strength of those synapses can happen from emotional resonance, whether it's something powerful positive or powerfully negative. And so, if you've had something really traumatic happen to you, it's really, really difficult to repave that neural pathway.
Yeah.
This isn't something that It's not something that's gonna be done in a week. This is a lifetime of practice where you can then harness the goodness that's inside of you, because the reality is that created such a strong synapse when that happened that you'll never forget it. You'll never forget that moment. I use the analogy of 9/11 because those of us that lived through 9/11 will remember perhaps what we were eating, what it smelled like, what the environment was, who we were talking to, the exact moment, depending on where you were when that happened. The same thing with traumatic things that happen in our life. Now, you won't forget that. It won't be erased from your memory because of the strength of the synapse that happened. And so, what Tara's talking about in terms of the neural journey of the path is you have to go through that path many, many, many times again. So, the first time you go through it, you may remember it because of novelty. It's something in science that they find. Like if you do it for the first time, sometimes you never forget it. If you hear a song for the first time and it creates an emotional resonance or a synapse at that moment, depending on the strength, you will never forget that song. And if you hear that song again, it's going to bring back those memories from your long term memory because of the neural pathways and the strength of that map that happens. And they see this on MRIs and brain scans when they actually ask questions about memories and watch the neural pathways. They light up like bright lights when you're actually looking at it under technology. And it's powerful. And the thing is, you can build new pathways. This is called neuroplasticity. And that's the beauty of what Tara talks about, because the reality is your brain is made in a way, the structure, the chemicals, the makeup, that you can build new neural pathways. And this is a discovery in the last 15 years. This isn't something that scientists have, they've debated it for a very long time, but even the size of your brain can change and the structure. And so this is the challenge that we all have inside. And I've had a similar experience as Tara that I can harness. So for me, I can harness something I call love. And I can harness it anywhere I am if I need it. And it feels warm and it feels like a bright light. And I can harness that in any dark time. And that's something that I have practiced. And it's true because of the chemicals that are in my hands and through my limbic system and my brain that connect us all together. I can harness that. And the reality is sometimes you need that. You need that new pathway. You need that love. You need that gratitude to help you get through. And that's the beauty of science. This isn't just made up words. This is real. And that's what's exciting because anybody has the power to change and move themselves forward and to learn. And learning is the key and the seed of that pathway.
Oh my gosh, yes. I love what you just said there because this is something we can learn. It may not be something that, I wasn't I'm not gonna say that gratitude was always in my pocket and I could just pull it out whenever I wanted. Um, this is something that I absolutely learned to lean into and to practice, but there was one other thing you said that is so true that I preach all the time, which is this is not a checkbox. This is not something that we do and we say, okay, I'm done my gratitude for the day. This is a lifestyle change. Thank you so much for saying that, right? It's a lifestyle change. And this is something that anyone can learn, anyone can develop, anyone can strengthen these neuropathways, this neuroplasticity. But it does require a commitment. It does
Mm.
require this lifestyle change. So, I want to go back to a little bit about your work and education and how you're transforming your industry, which you are. Do you incorporate gratitude into your training?
Absolutely. So 2 years ago, I did a research study and I really wanted to understand what drivers, what our learners wanted to learn about. And there were 3 topics, actually 4 topics, but 3 that I often talk about that came up on top. Gratitude was one of them. They wanna learn about gratitude. This is something that people are curious about, drivers are curious about. They also wanted to learn about depression. And the thing about depression for me, if somebody is asking to learn about it, what about all the people that aren't asking to learn about it? Those are the ones that we really want to reach. They also want to learn about financial wellness. It makes sense. Like people want to live a better life and have the resources they need and want to know how they can move themselves forward, especially living in gratitude when you don't have much. Because what we find is when you have gratitude, you have all that you need. Right? And so I feel like with our work, what we've done is what we're really trying to do is build learning community. Community is key for strength of synapse. When you have learner to learner connections, you can create this community that can create strength in synapse, which then creates long term memory. And that's really what we want because we want people to harness whether it's gratitude, whether it's safety concepts, if somebody's truck is on fire, you want them to be able to go out and be able to put the fire out. So to harness these concepts in different interaction modes is how we employ it in our platform. So it's not just content. And I'm really passionate about this because you can't just send out content to someone and tell them to stop distracted driving. You can't send out content to someone and say, "Hey, be safe in a parking lot." There's so many topics like that and people disseminate content, but it's not about dissemination of content. It's about dropping little short micro lessons, which we call e-nugget with all interaction modes. So building in the human component of that, whether you have a learner to learner discussion about their experience with distracted or why they distract, why are they driving distracted, building in a commitment from them to not drive distracted, for the parking lot, showing them an actual parking lot. So bringing in authenticity and things that matter to the learner is truly how you move behavior forward through learner to content, learner to self. How many times do we tap into our own thoughts and our own thinking or at a workplace? I mean, we do this maybe on our own and journal and reflect on our own thinking, but in the workplace and having our employer do that with us to say, "Look, I care about you. If you're feeling depressed, or you are struggling with health and emotional wellness, I care about you and here are resources, and together as a community, we can work through it." Learner to learner communities are not employed a lot in our industry, transportation. And the thing is, when they do it, it changes lives.
Oh, yeah.
And we have close to 100% retention. We've been in business in the trucking industry since 2014. We started our company, like I said, in 2008, but in trucking, and we keep clients because it's not about us, it's not about our platform. It's about how they're using the technology to create authentic and meaningful learning communities with all interaction modes. And that really, when you can do these, and it's not 5 days of long drawn out training in a classroom where you're dropping payroll on 3rd day. They don't even need to know about payroll until 3 weeks from now. It's about thinking about what's meaningful to the learner and giving them just in time, not only training, but interactions when they need it. Because we never know. That's the reality. We never know if someone is depressed and they need it, or we don't know when they're feeling unsafe and they need it. So building in interaction modes over time matter.
Oh
It
my
does.
gosh. So true. Another thing I love about gratitude is we can't be grateful and anxious at the same time, right?
Mm,
We can't be grateful and scarce at the same time. So, you mentioned a couple things. You said depression, financial well being, gratitude are things that people are really interested in. And no wonder. Great thing about it all is if you learn this gratitude, this baseline gratitude, the anxiety goes away, the depression goes away. And what's the most fascinating concept for me was the financial abundance also
mm,
comes. And that was something that I wasn't expecting. When I first started really learning gratitude and leaning into it, I was reading a book. It's an oldie but a goodie. It's The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, published in
yeah.
1910. Love that book. But, I read chapter 7, which was about gratitude, and it changed my life.
I love that.
It totally changed my life, but what I realized was gratitude's not chapter 7. It's
Yeah.
chapter 1.
I love that.
Yes.
Absolutely,
It's all
absolutely.
connected, isn't it?
It is all connected. It actually impacts and changes our neural pathways, and it impacts the chemicals that we release, and it also impacts the energy we give off. When you step in a room and you're living in the moment, with that person and living in love, living in gratitude, people recognize it, and you don't have to say one word. And this isn't a show, this isn't marketing, this isn't something that we're doing or I'm doing. I'm doing it because I want to save and change people's lives. And for me, because it's helped me and like you've experienced, it's helped you. It's why it's my passion, it's my purpose, it's why I do what I do. And honestly, if you can have one meaningful connection and help that person move forward, like I had with the barista, his name is Jason.
I
And
hope
I
you're
will never
listening, Jason.
and I will never forget him, but the thing is, we had that moment, and that's what matters because you're right, abundance comes to those that give off that energy and also that live that and live it. Like I said, it's not a daily check. This isn't it's kind of like companies that wanna work with Luma really wanna change behaviors. They really wanna build learning communities. They really want to connect with their learners. It's not a check the box. We're not a content distributor. I mean, content doesn't change behavior. It doesn't. Like that book that you read, it connected with you, but it's the practice of that and
Yes.
connecting with other people that change behavior. You can read something, you can shift your mindset, but it's a practice that you live. And that's the difference because it changes your brain. It changes your mind. It changes your outlook. And that is science. And that is true. And we just have to share this knowledge with people because a lot of times people feel like the driver that says they're depressed, they have the power inside. It's why I started my podcast 2 years ago. It's called I Love Learning, and I started it because I wanted to give people resources to say, "Look, everyone has hurdles in their life." I mean, everyone has had challenges, at different degrees, but everyone has had something happen in their life that isn't positive, and if you know that and you know you're not alone and you can connect on those issues, then that can help you find someone that's at the same level, going through the same things that can help you move forward. Because sharing stories connects us.
Well, we need more of you in this world. I'm just gonna say that.
Aw. You too. Well, together we're better, right? That's what Simon Sinek said, and I believe it because there's a power in two. Learning science study the power of three, and the power of the synapse that happens when you have a moment together. And when you have that, you never forget it.
Never. Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, first off, I want to ask, where can people learn more about this? Because I mean, I'm curious, right? I want to learn more. And I want you to help more people because let's face it, this world and these roads are a crazy place. We need more people who are attuned, who know what's going on, who aren't distracted. So, where can people learn more and learn more about you and find your products and services?
Yeah, so if you go to lumabrighterlearning.com, that's my company. I'm the CEO and co-founder. We have different learning resources, free resources on our website. You can connect with me on learningwithgina.com. I actually publish for Inc. magazine, and I do a lot of thought leadership that I give free resource. This is education is free, and it should be. So we give again, we give this to you so that you can learn how to transform your life and your company's life and people in your environment's lives. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Dr. Gina Anderson. You can find me on LinkedIn, but I'd love to connect with anyone that is passionate about learning about logistics and transportation and learning because let's face it, when you're in the vehicle, you're alone.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's in the vehicle with you is your mind. And so we can help people move forward in their own thoughts and their own behavior. So when they step out of that truck or that vehicle, they give off a bright energy to change and spread the goodness around. So I love it. Connect with
Yes,
me.
yes, absolutely. Connect with Gina. And you know what? I'm picturing a truck driver who's had gone through your programs, and I'm picturing them getting out of the truck, going to a customer site, and they look different. They show up different. They feel
Absolutely.
different, right? People resonate with them more because they're connected. And that's what it's all about. Gina, wow, what a powerful conversation. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. And thank you for everyone who tuned into this episode of Grasp Confidence Podcast. Guys, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, share this with your friends, your networks, your community. And if you are someone in the logistics industry, this is the solution, not a solution, the solution to get better driver retention, increase safety, and save lives. We will see you on the next episode. Take care.